So you could write out this whole thing, and this would be the absolute path, an absolute link. And then this is the relative one, because this is relative only to, they're only relative to each other. I hope that makes sense. Okay, let's see this in action. Upload complete. Great. Okay, I've reloaded, and now you could see that my text has gotten a special treatment. It has an underline and it's in blue. This is the default visual treatment that HTML gives to links, so that we know if we click these, we could go somewhere specific. And then after we've clicked it, it turns purple, so we know that we've been there before. And now if I click this, my cat.html happens to have the same code in it as our intro because of previous tests that I've run. But bird shouldn't have anything in it, so bird is empty. And you can see that these files exist here, and that's why I'm getting a blank page. So a blank page doesn't mean that there's a problem. A blank page means you have just an empty file, but you actually went somewhere and the file is there and it does exist. That's a good thing. If you got a 404 error, then you would know that like there's no file. 404 is a file not found. And then if I click on the laser link, it takes me to the laser page on Wikipedia. So my NYU website that I've just created is now connected to Wikipedia, which is awesome. I'm like part of the World Wide Web officially. I've connected to something that's outside the scope of just what I'm doing. All right. Are there any questions? Is everyone following along? Is anyone following along?
Hello, Professor.
Yeah.
How do you make the web, the one you are creating right now? How do you make it visible on the web again? Because I tried, but I keep getting the page not found.
How do I make it visible on the web? The index.html that I just made.
Yeah.
So I put it in my directory that you can see here. So all of you, when you're looking at your directory, it should look like this. You should have a index from the base in the public HTML folder. You should have an index.html page, and you should have a folder called me, which we created for the assignment. So if you don't have that, make it now. And then once you create that folder called me and you set the permissions to 755, you can go into that folder and create a new file called index.html.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's two of them.
I think I figured out why I wasn't coming. The me was outside the public HTML. That was why I
Yeah.
wasn't coming.
So you always want to have all of your public-facing files, your web files, in that public HTML folder.
Okay.
So if you take a look at the very first assignment, I wrote like a sentence in there and I'm like, never delete this folder. Just don't delete it. But yeah, because if that happens, like everything's gone, then you have to make a new one. Because the other parts of your server are protected from the internet. We don't want to put everything that we have, like all our scripts and I don't know what we might have on our servers, online so that people could see them. So they have different kinds of addresses and different levels of accessibility. Okay. So I have I have this. I think the next part is semantic elements. So semantic elements are special elements that have been made after HTML1 for sure, but I'm not sure during which HTML. And again, this has to do with accessibility and ease of interpretation for browsers. So like if you're on your phone, a website will render a certain way, but when you're on a computer screen, it'll render in a different way. So these elements help the interpreters know that, like where the footer should be at the bottom and the header should be at the top and stuff like that. So we're going to add that to our index. So I guess because this is my laser page, we can say that that's going to be in the header. That's my title. And then I think in Atom, if I select a group of lines and hit tab, yeah, it moves all the lines forward. So what I'm doing here is I'm nesting my tags. So the body tag is at the most basic level. It's like at the wall of the, right up against the wall of the code, if you will. And all of the content is held inside the body tag. They even created a little arrow. And then the header is like the next level in. And that's it's gonna be my like ornate title display. And then on the same level as the header, I'm gonna have my actual like description text. So that's gonna be the main tag. And since I've encapsulated this and all of this information inside the main tag, I'm gonna highlight it and hit tab to move it forward. Now, of course, the text here is a bit messy because I was writing it out. Clean that up. So this is like cleaning up your code. And then I know that I want all my links to be at the bottom in the footer. Although people usually put their links at the top into the head, but I'm mixing it up today. And footer, and so we can select all of this and move it forward. So I formatted my code, and it might seem like finicky and like maybe a slightly tedious thing to do, but this makes it easier to find stuff. So once I have a very long document with a lot of information on it, having this all be contained this way makes it so that I can find the parts that I need more quickly. And it also gives me the ability to put stuff away. So I just like clicked on this little arrow and it collapsed the footer, which makes it easier to read the document. So proper code formatting is very, very helpful. Okay, so here are my semantic elements. So now we know what everything is. And you'll see that that's not actually going to change the way that the file looks, but it has helped us. It will help us next week when we're doing CSS, when we style the file. So yeah, looks exactly the same. But I do want to show you a very funny, I have to look up the spelling because I am bad at spelling sometimes. There's this tag called the marquee tag, and it is hilarious. So this is W3 Schools. I'm glad this link came up because that's our next topic of conversation anyway. W3 Schools is the group that is also the World Wide Web Consortium. And the validator that you're going to use to validate your code is at W3 Schools. And there's also really great tutorials and like really great descriptions of all the things that you are going to be learning there. So I highly recommend that you make use of this awesome resource. Okay, so what I was looking for is the spelling. Like how many E's? I don't know. Okay, so I want to make my my title move around, and this tag is going to do that, hopefully in this location. There might be a conflict between H1 and marquee, and it's possible that if the marquee is in the H1 tag, it won't move, but we'll find out. And then we'll troubleshoot if there's a problem. Troubleshooting is a very big part of writing code, so sometimes it's good to develop a consistent troubleshooting practice. Okay, let's see. It worked. Okay, great. So this is definitely not information. This is definitely styling and visuals, this marquee tag. Like, there's no important content being conveyed to me by the fact that I Love Lasers is like moving across the page now. So marquee is something that we've inherited from HTML1, and this was, as I said, back at the time when HTML was doing everything. It's pretty funny. I love it. Okay, so I've misrepresented my information on this page a little bit. I said here are some red ones I made, but I didn't, they're not there. So let's put our first image into our website, and I do have some red ones. It's this. Okay. So I'm going to copy the title of my image. I'm going to need that later. And I'm also going to, this is in my way, I'm going to upload it here. Great. Okay, so I said here's some red ones, but you have to see them. So we're going to use something called an image tag. The image tag doesn't have a closing tag. So most tags, like overwhelmingly, all the tags in HTML have, they open and they close and they have content in the middle, but the image tag is just a link to an image. So it's a link, we're linking another file that's in the same folder with us. And it's written image src equals, I hope that's how it's written, src, there we go. And then you have the title of your image, and it's very similar in structure to the hypertext tag, you can see. So this is referencing another file, and this is referencing an image, and I think that's all I need. I'm not sure. Let's find out. So I've done this a bajillion times, but I haven't committed it to memory, as you can see, because we don't need to. It's all online. And this is a very important tool for you to learn as you make your websites, is how to search for the information you need. No, but I don't want a tutorial. I just want the most basic reference. There we go. So this is a list of all the tags that are available to us in HTML. And image starts with an I.